Joining us now is James Woodhousen, who's visiting Professor of Forecasting and Innovation at London South Bank University. James, good to speak to you. Just doing a bit of reading about this. Brits throwing out 108 million rolls of wrapping paper last year, and of course, it's not recyclable. Do we need to have another think about this?
Not much, I don't think. 108 million, you divide it by the population, it's about a roll per head, and if you look at household waste, it's relatively modest compared with construction, demolition waste, office waste and everything else. So really to blame households for any kind of environmental crisis, particularly at Christmas, seems to me ludicrously out of proportion. I say bah humbug to all of this kind of killjoy endeavour, and I'm surprised that at a Dickensian moment like today, Ebenezer Scrooges, in the form of the more extreme end of the environmental movement, want to indict us for our packaging, for tinsel, for the fun that kids have around Christmas. If we eliminated all waste, we'd eliminate all fun, and I'm against that.
Come on, James, they're not Scrooge. Lots of people enjoy repurposing things and making their own wrapping paper and making their own cards and things like that. And when it comes to children enjoying themselves, how many times has a child unwrapped something and been less interested in the present than the wrapping paper?
Well, what's wrong with that?
What do you mean what's wrong with it? I'm saying that they don't care. It could be recycled newspaper that you use to wrap a present. The kids aren't going to remember it.
I think they like a bit of sparkle like anybody else. It's completely out of proportion. Commercial, industrial, construction waste is like household waste, largely recycled. And, instead of Christmas being a time for giving, thinking about the future, for loving, we're all supposed to worry about, the damaging effect that we have on the environment. I've got nothing against people cutting down tree bark, doing their own packaging. That's all fine with me. But don't turn around, please, I'm sure you're not doing this, Tom, and say that, I am an evil, apocalyptic
I said nothing of the sort.
But some people do say that. Every year, commentators in the newspaper try to make us feel that Victorian guilt that they love so much about our consumption. You're not doing that. But.
On a more serious note about that, is it maybe because it's easier to change the things you're talking about corporate waste? It's easier to change a simple how we wrap something than it is to try and change the corporate world's waste practices and things like that. So maybe that's why the message is being put out there, because it's a simple change, and in fact, it could actually be better for our pockets. I'm just reading, a 10-metre roll of Wilko's recyclable paper at £2 compared to £5 for foil-based paper at somewhere like, and this is just an example, but Next.
Well, most environmental measures actually wind up more expensive. So if it's cheaper, like tree bark and other things, or you do it yourself, I got no problem with that, although it is, of course, much more labour intensive. We all have to make our own packaging now, as if we had the time at Christmas. But I think, I go back to my mind, just looking at the figures here, in 2016, household packaging waste was 11 million tonnes. If you look at construction and demolition, you're looking at 55 million tonnes. So, why is it that they're going after households? Because that's where the guilt can most easily be felt. It's not because it's an easy problem to solve. A very difficult problem. It's much easier to recycle from factories than it is from the slops from your sink or your waste paper bin. Actually, we could have a chemical engineering and pneumatic rubbish collection system which automatically with machine vision sorted our rubbish and did all the rest of it, recycled it, and didn't send it until very recently to China. We're still sending a lot of it to the developing world. So there are big engineering solutions out there for actually what's quite a small problem. If you look at the Christmas decorations or packaging at Christmas time, it's even smaller proportion of that actually very small 11 million tonnes. It sounds like a lot, and the 100 million rolls, could no doubt pile up in Trafalgar Square to a great height. But that's not really accurate as a description.
It's a smaller fraction of a much bigger picture.
Right.
James, thank you for your time. Good to speak to you, and have a good Christmas.
Same to you.